Welcome to the Living Ageless and Bold podcast. Each episode, I bring you amazing women who inspire, educate, and share their experiences and journeys along the way. So grab a glass of wine or a cup of coffee, find a cozy spot, and let's relax and have some fun hearing what can be accomplished after 55. Hi, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of Living Ageless and Bold. If you ever looked at a dating profile and thought, something doesn't quite feel right, you're not imagining it. From love bombers and narcissists to the crypto guy and the mysteriously too spiritual dater, the red flags are usually right there, hidden in plain sight. That's why today's conversation is a must listen if you're in this stage in your life. I'm joined by Nancy Lee Gulbrandsen, and she is the author of, I love this, Swipe Left, the Savvy Women's Guide to Decoding Men's Dating Profiles. And it is her mission to entertain, educate, and empower women, especially when it comes to navigating modern dating with confidence and clarity. So welcome, Nancy.
Thank you, Christina. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, I mean, I want to totally dive into the book and dating, but as I was looking into everything before having you on, you have quite an entrepreneurial background. So talk a little bit about kind of like what you've done and what got you to this point where you had to write a book about swiping left.
Well, having that entrepreneurial spirit and being an independent thinker and creative, that all fell together from just owning my own businesses, whether it was a vacation rental business or a bakery at one time. I've always had that creative spirit, and I like taking something from scratch and building it. And so the dating apps gave me so much material, and with a sense of humor from the Jersey girl in me, it just came in really handy. I never would have survived years on and off the dating apps without my sense of humor. It saved the day because sometimes all you can do is laugh. So then after all the dating debacles, I just took all those experiences and created the poem, which then turned into the book.
Okay. So, and I say this all the time. I am very fortunate. We're going to have our 30th wedding anniversary, and the thought of dating again is just, I don't know. I just don't know that I would.
Cringeworthy, right?
It is. And I've had so many of my single girlfriends. I mean, it is a nightmare, like dating people for years and then realizing, you start to see flags, which of course you don't want to see them when you're in the thrust of love and everything's great. But like the person wasn't who he said he was. Like he had a fake ID and, he's got a pregnant wife 5 miles up the road. So it's like, oh, I just heard so many stories like that. So let's talk a little bit about, because you've made it very funny. You are a humorist. Talk about your dating experience, like when you first got into the dating apps.
Well, I had visions of grandeur, and I was extraordinarily optimistic, which I think most women are, because when you start thinking like that, you have to have a great attitude or, you're doomed. So I did. I opened the door and I welcomed the opportunity, but I was transparent about my situation. I didn't lie about my age. I didn't filter my pictures. I put myself out there. I was as real as I could be, because I think if you start off with a lie, even about your age, that's the foundation. Okay. So you've got a crack in the foundation to start with. How are you ever going to build anything with anybody when the first thing I did was lie, or the first thing he did on our meet and greet is, hey, I'm really not 55, I'm 60. It's like, well, that tells me so much about your personality. That's a massive red flag. I shouldn't even be here, because now where do we go?
Right. It's funny. I used to speak a lot more than I do now, but people, the meeting planners would say, oh my gosh, you really look like your picture. Like, shouldn't I look like my picture? You're holding me out there to be a speaker. If you're advertising me as this and I show up as this, right. That's just that the incongruency is that first icky step.
Exactly. I know one of the things that men complain about women is that the person on the app wasn't the person that showed up on the date. And that's a big thing for men. But let me tell you, it's just as big for women because I know I had way more than my fair share of wait, what? Who is this? And you don't look like that. When was that picture taken? So, that's the other red flag. If you're lying about your age and then your photographs aren't even current, then where do you expect things to go? Everyone's going to be disappointed.
So what did you do on this first date when you walked in and there is Joe who says he's 55 and he's really 65 and doesn't look anything like his picture?
Well, the first date turned out to be the character in my book, Boozy Bruce.
We were going to get into the characters. So let's start with Boozy Bruce. Okay. Because I think it's so funny how you name them.
Yeah. Boozy Bruce is, the red flags were there to start with. And I was a novice. So I was all into the fun guy energy. And fun guy energy is a massive red flag because you're just setting yourself up for disappointment. When a man's, looking for his Ginderella, or a drinking partner in his case, where are you going to go from there? Every date, every activity, whether you're sitting at home watching a movie, or whether you're out for dinner, everything involves alcohol. There is never an activity that doesn't.
Your college frat boy date. That when you were in college, let's tube down the river. Let's get a 6-pack. Right. Yeah. Let's go to formals. Let's drink a bottle. Yeah.
We all go through those phases, right? And then we outgrow them. But when someone has that, any guy that has any sort of an addiction, whether it's alcohol or drugs or gambling or porn, any of that stuff, you're never going to get the real person because an addiction to substance or anything else is an addiction. And that's going to come first. Remember that. That will always be at the forefront of his daily needs. And you'll always come in second or third.
And it's important because I'm sure that Boozy Bruce at the beginning was really fun. Hey, let's do this. And then you're thinking, oh, wow, this is going to be so fun and so great. Not thinking of, okay, let's really look at who this person is right from the beginning. We have a problem.
Yeah. And when you're in those throes of fun guy energy and there's chemistry, we have our blinders on.
Right.
And we're not seeing the real person. And our friends are, our family is. We're embarrassed by their behavior and we tend to sweep that under the rug. And I did that and I'll never do that again. I learned the hard way.
How long were you, I don't know if you're married, but how long were you doing the dating thing or have you been doing the dating thing?
On and off for more than a decade. Because you get to a point where you're just over it, or you meet someone and then you're in a relationship. So that was in the case of Boozy Bruce, and then that was the case with Narcissist Nick. And
okay, let's talk about Nick. What are some other signs that we have to look for the narcissist?
Well, that's an interesting topic. It starts. I call it the 4 stages of narcissistic abuse. And it starts with love bombing. And love bombing is, wow, they're good at that. It's like Academy Award acting sometimes.
So they're just building you up.
They come in hot from the get-go, from the first message. They're flattering. They're telling you everything you want to hear, and they appear to be remarkable human beings. When you meet, it's flowers, it's flattery, it's whining and dining and romance and gifts and trips. And your friends are saying, does he have a brother? And, your family members are like, wow, Nance, this could be the one. And then the next stages roll in where it's devaluing and discarding and then hoovering. So I went through that whole narcissistic cycle of abuse and I know it well. I didn't know it was happening. It was my first rodeo with a narcissist, but definitely my last. But boy, did I learn a lot. And the good thing is I escaped and I use the word escape because that's basically what I had to do to end that relationship. I walked away with trauma, but no heartbreak. So it was a lot easier for me to write that poem and to write the book because I was coming from a place of more trauma and some anger than heartbreak, because that can flatten you. And thank God I didn't go through that. I was just relieved to be away from that cycle, that psycho cycle.
Hoovering. What is that?
Hoovering is after they love bomb you, then they devalue you, then they discard you, and then they come back and they start with the love bombing all over again to win you back in. And it's a very traumatic experience indeed.
Yeah. Oh,
but Nancy. A lot of women, you'd be amazed at the amount of women that I have talked with who have experienced this. There are a lot of men out here on the dating apps that act that way. So if you're love bombed, that's the first red flag, to recognize those signs.
And this isn't just online dating, as you say, these steps. And again, I've been with my husband for over 30 years, but I almost married somebody else. And as you described that's him. I mean, that's the relationship that I was in for 5 years. This, I love you, then this, and then they come back. And it was interesting. The last time I finally ended it, and he came back in a limousine, and I've got tickets to the Redskins game. This is back when the Commanders were the Redskins, which is one of my favorite things to do. And I said no. And that was the most empowering. That was kind of it. Like, I think he probably realized then that love bombing wasn't going to work this time in the cycle.
But he was shocked that it didn't, because that was your weak spot. That was it. He figured, I got it. I got her back.
Yeah.
And so you had a boundary. You put up a boundary, and narcissists, if there's anything they hate, is a boundary.
Wow. Okay. So, and we have many more descriptions that we're going to get into, but when you first go on the dating app, and what can you tell by the profiles? Like, okay, this one's probably going to be Boozy Bruce, or this one's probably going to be Narcissistic Nick. Like, are there things so you should keep swiping left, right? Is where you pass them, or left is when you
swipe left is
get rid of them.
Like, I'm passing on you. Yeah.
So tell people watching and listening who are on these apps, what are some things they should look for?
Well, a man should put forth some real effort into his profile, and it shouldn't be an AI profile. You can pretty much tell when somebody's not written something as opposed to putting themselves onto their profile. So it's what they're saying and what they're not saying, because less is often more. But in a dating profile, you can't be too brief, because that just shows lack of effort and a low effort Lou, kind of one of those guys. So you want to see what they're sharing with you verbally, and the photos. Men are very visual people, but so are women. So a picture really does tell a story, and their photos. So how much effort have they put into their photos? Are they well kept? Are they current pictures? Is the girl cropped out when his arm is out there and she's cropped out? I mean, come on, how lazy can you get? We all have phones in our pockets all day long. Somebody can take your picture, put on a clean shirt, shave, and put down the dead fish. We don't want to see you holding the dead fish on the lake. Okay.
That's not attractive to you.
No more catch of the day. Whatever memo men got, and I don't know when that was sent around, but it seems that men seem to think that that's an aphrodisiac. We're not hunters and gatherers anymore, or an agrarian society. We're not wowed by the fact that you can catch a fish. Okay. We're not impressed. So put the fish down. We don't want to see you with the dead animals, the dead deer, the dead anything. We don't want to see you in the gym with your biceps and your arm veins. We want to see you just being you. Maybe at a coffee shop, sitting at a counter with a cup of coffee, being you. I mean, if you like to golf, that's great. but we're not really into the obsession, sports. Okay. Balance. So if you go to the gym, great, but we don't want to see the gym rat Jake, because that is a sign that someone is obsessive about something, which is a massive red flag. We
Wait,
like
what did you,
and we
what
like
did you call
hobbies.
him? Gym rat Jake?
Gym rat Jake.
Oh, that's so funny. Where did you come up with these names?
They're as popular as Catch of the Day, Carl. So, I mean, we want to see that you have interests and hobbies within reason, whether it's golfing or maybe you play basketball with your buddies after work. That's great. Share that with us. But we don't want to see the fact that, if you're tattooed, that's one thing. If you're covered with tattoos, that's a completely other thing. That's another obsession. And I cover all these chapters in my books about the different types of personalities and red flags associated with extreme behaviors.
So when you're on the dating app, what makes you say, okay, this could work. I'm willing to give this a try?
Well, again, the nice pictures. Okay. He doesn't have to be movie star handsome, but the pictures need to be real. I don't want to see your kids. Don't put your kids in your pictures.
I was going to ask you that. That's interesting. Okay. What if he has adult kids?
I don't want to see you with a bunch of your buddies where I have to pick out who might be you. And it's never the cute one. It's always not. But we want you. We want you being you. And we want a profile that gives us a general idea of who you are, that opens the door for conversation upon talking or meeting.
It's so interesting. Once a month, I co-host on a lifestyle show on my local Fox, and I was there today. And one of the guests, I met her in the green room and we ended up interviewing her. She is a matchmaker, a professional, executive matchmaker. And some of the things she was telling us about, because I have also, I have another interview from the woman who created It's Just Lunch. If you remember that years and years ago, it was kind of the very first dating thing. So we talked about with her, she talked about different areas. You do different kinds of dating, whether you're in Dallas or New York. So the woman today tells me in Miami, it's all the young women who literally go to her and they want a rich old guy. Like that's what they want because they think that person can help them get through. She goes, I have never had a woman say, I want somebody my age. And I was like, wow, but that's Miami. That's, it's different. So you kind of have to know.
Sure. Yeah. Well, that area is ripe for that. Right.
Yeah.
So demographically, that's where you would go to find that.
Oh yeah. It's just all kind of mind-blowing. So talk about some more of the personality traits. I know it's in your book and we're kind of giving some of it away, but you guys will get a much deeper dive in the book and we'll have it in the show notes so you can buy the book. But I just love the names that you came up with. And then when you talk about what they are, like the gym rat Jake, I mean, we all know people like that. Anyone who's ever gone to a gym, that guy.
Well, I've got tinfoil hat Tim, and he's the conspiracy theorist. We got foot fetish Felix. And we can tell right now what that's about. I don't know if I can say this, but there's good old Pic Rick, and he usually shows up at some point in your online dating saga. Oh my God!
When you were talking about pictures, and my girlfriend,
well, on my socials, what I've done on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook is I have created pictures and real profiles based on these guys, and and it's fun, and I put it to music, so I have some fun with that.
But because you were saying, who wants to see the dead fish?
Yeah,
who wants to see that? And it comes out like on a second date. Yeah. Again, not me. This is my girlfriends that I've. But
proud.
They're like, look at what I got, and you're like, oh my God! Like I don't want my husband sending me that, and I love him.
That is grounds for blocking because that is considered a crime. So don't take that lightly. And why would you want to meet somebody that feels that you're welcoming that? Now, I will admit there are people, both men and women, on the dating apps that they're there for that. Okay, right. And if you're there for that, fine. I don't care. Have fun with it. But if you're the one looking for a serious relationship, a really good guy, and Pic Rick shows up, I mean that just it's
Right.
It's a common
And
thing.
I think there are particular apps so the woman who founded, It's Just Lunch, Andrea, she was also taught, like, she helps people do their online profiles.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's the thing, and where you should be. So depending on what you want in your life, like Pic Rick should be on, and I don't even know if it still exists, but like a Plenty of Fish, which is like, let's just hook up. Yeah. Whereas if you're on eHarmony or Hinge or places like that, and I don't know if Hinge is for older people. I know that my son is marrying somebody he met there, and all of my neighbors, kids who are married, met their spouses on Hinge. So it's a pretty good platform, at least at that age group. I don't think you see as much of that on there.
Right. I think you're going to see it everywhere. I think once a guy gets your cell number, that's when that literally pops up.
At what point in the early dating stages do you give that information?
Well, I have a chapter in my book. The last chapter is a resource chapter, and it's all about how to research someone. So I would want their information before I share my information so that I can do a deep dive. And it's free, and you don't have to subscribe to any service that's going to give you outdated information. I put everything in very clear order about how to research someone, based on where they live and how to do that deep dive. So before you share your cell phone number, which, by the way, if you put your cell phone number on Google, you'll be amazed at what shows up. So a guy it's a very vulnerable thing to do. So get his information and you do your homework.
Interesting. One of the things, I've had a couple people on about online dating, and I thought this was brilliant, and I use it to buy furniture and things like that. But Google Images is you take their picture and put it in Google Image and see what comes up. I thought that was brilliant.
Yes. And a lot of times you'll find out that it's a stock photo or it's actually a real person. Then they've stolen their identity. Basically, that's what that's called. I've seen that many times. I've Googled the image and it's like, oh, I knew it, scammer. So,
yeah, we had another friend who had she was talking to this man, I don't know, months and months and months, and he was finally coming to visit. And, she's so excited and she bought sexy clothes and this is it. And he didn't show up.
Because he wasn't a real person.
He wasn't
and
really.
I think that, and as we get into our 50s and older, we're coming out of a marriage. Maybe we've lost our spouse, we're widows and we're vulnerable and we're lonely. And it's the perfect opportunity for romance scammers to come in, which is now a billion with a B, $1 billion business. So there are enough people who are lonely and desperate and believe everything they hear, and they get sucked in emotionally, financially. These people don't exist, but they're so good at what they do, and the women are so vulnerable that they're cleaning up. And
so when you say it's $1 billion industry, so they're coming in and they're asking you for money, like how?
Yes, okay. They come in, they tell you everything you want to hear. They can't FaceTime you because they're not a real person. They're in some other country. They're sending you fake photos and they're promising you the sun, the moon, and the stars. And they need money to get back to America, or they're having some problem. They're on an oil rig and they can't talk to you, or it's just they're so predictable, and they call you dear, and they're not real people. They're scammers from some country, and they're getting away with this, and it's working beautifully because women are getting sucked in by the promise of love and a future, and they feel important and they feel special, and there's nothing behind all that. So I talk about that. That's faux Romeo in my book.
Oh, I like that too. But not that. I was talking to my daughter about something, what a gift that they had given us came late and got stolen off their porch. And I'm like, God, mean people suck. Like they just suck. Like it's terrible. And you think of, and exactly what you said. I had another guest on who, wrote a book about her widow virginity, how she lost her widow virginity. So her husband of 30 years died of pancreatic cancer, and talking about, dating again and doing that. She wasn't scammed dating wise, but through something else, it was like a Google kind of thing. And she's like, I'm so smart at this. Like, I know this stuff, but she was so vulnerable with the death of her husband and trying to, get the computer straight and the money straight, like doing all this stuff. And she got scammed for quite a bit of money. And it just makes me mad.
Yes, it's very common. It is a huge industry. And if my book can save one woman from what you just spoke about, whether it's a financial scam, maybe it's an investment thing, or a romance scam, if your red flags are up, not to be too cynical all the time, but to recognize the red flags in dating, in just people trying to convince you to give them your money, you got to do your homework.
Right.
You really do.
You have so many different scenarios and types of men. Is there one big flag? Like, is there one thing that you see and then you're like, all right, I've got to dig deeper? Like, is there one common theme that all of your Romeos and your Jakes and your Nick and Boozy Bruce, like, is there something that the profile has? All of them kind of have a theme.
Well, when they all come off and they say, I'm not like all the other guys, that's a huge red flag.
Okay.
They all said that, and they all were just like all the other guys and worse. So that's a massive red flag when someone tells you he's like the other guys.
Okay, Nancy, I have to ask you, how many of these dates have you been on? Or relationships through this?
As far as relationships go, which I would consider like more than a year, I just 2, but lots of meets and greets, lots of, 2 or 3 or 4 month, give it a shot. But, my front door did not revolve by any stretch of the imagination. My bar is very high. But
as well as it should be. There's no reason to not have it be high.
It's higher now than it ever was.
Good.
Obviously, for all the right reasons. But, it was more quality bad guys than quantity. But I chatted with enough. I messaged with enough. I met enough to see a pattern of behavior. And the humor just made it all fun.
Well, and I found it interesting. Something that I read said when you would travel and you would, meet friends or meet their friends, and everybody had similar stories. Yes.
I mean, some of the profiles in my book came from friends that, in their dating debacles. So some of these were things that I actually witnessed myself. But every woman, I don't care what zip code you're in, from Seattle to Miami, different zip code, same guys everywhere.
And it is important to note, though, like we are poking at lots of negative, stereotypes that you have found. But I've also had a lot of people on the show who have met their one and only through online dating. And they went through a lot of what you talked about, but eventually, so there is hope. This is not a lost cause to do the online dating. What we want you to know is be aware and don't fall into the various traps that are likely not going to be that ideal person for you.
Yes, there are people out there that meet and marry. I know of situations like this for sure, but the statistics are that 88% of the people on the dating apps are disappointed. So 12%, that's low. Is it worth it? Yeah, probably. And obviously people are meeting and
or maybe it's just companionship.
Yes.
You're at an age that maybe it doesn't work out completely, like a marriage, if that's what you want, but maybe you have someone you can go to a show with periodically or go to a movie with, if just become friends with.
There's all different types of relationships out there, and it depends on what you're looking for, right? And maybe you just want that companionship, and both people agree that that's fine, because at a certain age, getting remarried carries its own set of risks. You've got children, and it's
your
just
money,
complicated, right? And once you've been through that with someone and you've lost someone, I mean, I'm not up for that. I mean, I wouldn't go down that road again. But I think that everyone's different. I lost my brother a few years ago, and my sister-in-law met a great guy at the age of 70 and remarried. So it does happen. And they met online. So it does happen, and they couldn't be happier. And I'm happy for her. But that's not the normal. Right. That doesn't happen every day to every person. So.
Well, I think everybody who's in this position, or if you have friends, I am going to be gifting your book. Get the book, read the book, because there are a lot of themes with different types of people, and you can save yourself a lot of angst and anxiety by avoiding those stereotypical people before you start dating them. Nancy, where can people find the book? Where can they learn more about you?
Okay, the book is available on Amazon. It's called Swipe Left, The Savvy Woman's Guide to Decoding Men's Dating Profiles. I have it right here. May I hold it up?
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah, everybody watching can see.
It looks like the guy with the fish, with the dead fish, of course. So it's available on Amazon, and my website is nancyleegulbrandsen.com, and my Instagram is at Swipe Left Book. I'm on TikTok, Swipe Left Book, and on Facebook, Swipe Left Book. I'm out there.
Well, I love it. Well, thank you so much. Everybody share this episode with your friends who are in the dating world. And Nancy, thanks for all the great tips.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for listening or for watching this episode of Living Ageless and Bold. If you haven't already, please make sure you hit subscribe. And if you like the episode, I hope that you will give us a great review. You can also head over to livingagelessandbold.com and sign up for information, inspiration, and exclusive opportunities for us, women over 55. Thanks for listening. And remember, no matter what you do, keep living ageless and bold.